Fire Call, the fire safety show with Division Chief Jim Sideras.
Hi, my name is Division Chief Jim Sideras, and you're watching Fire Call. And this time we got the wildest question. It's from Joellen in Sioux Falls, and she wants to know, do you ever work with the helicopters? Well, Joellen, we're high above Sioux Falls in Trauma 1, Sioux Valley Hospital's helicopter, and we're doing a training session, and this is something that we're doing, so it's a little different version, so you're stepping into a new world of Sioux Falls Fire Rescue, and that's one way above Sioux Falls. Now, when we look at Sioux Falls, we're starting to get bigger, and we're spreading out more, and a lot of area of Sioux Falls is interfacing out with rural areas, and sometimes in these rural areas, the fastest way to get someone to the hospital, the most critical patients, when we get 4 or 5 patients. So these helicopters are a great addition into the community, and it's great that we get to work with them. The helicopters flying in like this, we have to have our firefighters ready, and everything on scene has to be ready so we safely can do this as we come in, and the paramedics and nurses are ready to load these patients. So we're coming in to a call here with an accident, patient had to be extricated, and then we have to look at getting the patients all ready to go. So this is a great thing. As these helicopters come in, there's a lot of safety concerns. A big thing is safety when we bring these helicopters in. We have to have a person that's designated to get that landing zone set up, and we're looking at a pretty big area. We want about 100 by 100 foot area. We also want to make sure that there's no obstructions like power lines or anything that could be picked up into the rotors when the helicopter comes in. Now, usually when this happens, it's out in a rural area where Sioux Falls interfaces out with rural areas. So we have to get our firefighters ready to be looking at all the different things that can happen when these helicopters come in. So we have safety groups, make sure everyone has their helmets on, everything's ready to go as they bring this helicopter in. You can just see all the updraft that we have to be thinking about when these helicopters come in. Now on this helicopter we load off the left side. So when they bring this in, our firefighters are going to know that's the side they're going to go to. They're going to set up contact with that pilot, ensure that the scene is safe before they load the patient. The neat thing is these helicopters show up. They have both a nurse and a paramedic, so they're ready. This is just like an onboard ambulance, and it's ready to get these patients off quick, fast, and as safely as possible. We can save a lot of time because as we start flying these helicopters into these interface areas where it's not really in Sioux Falls, but these rural areas, we can save time because they can jump right over Sioux Falls, put down right into the hospitals and transport those most critical of patients and get that care as fast as possible. So our firefighters have to work fast, have that patient packaged, work with the ambulance crews, and if the number of patients overwhelms our system, determine which is the most critical, get that person ready to go, and then load them. Now the neat thing about this is working together with these two crews, with both fire and the paramedics and also the helicopters, is that we offer the best in patient care so that we can get those patients treated as fast as possible, and then not only treat it quickly, but get the best care they need to increase their chances of survival and a safe patient outcome out of the hospital. So the patients are loaded. This is a real-time evolution of how fast this can happen. These flight teams have years of experience. Pilots have years of experience. So that's a great thing for our system when we can use these and seamlessly integrate the care from the basic provider, that EMT, through the paramedic, right into the helicopter, and then transition that care all the way to the hospital. So we have a nice continuum of care from the accident scene all the way to the hospital. And that's what makes this a great opportunity for our community when we can do this type of training together. Now we don't have to use this on a regular basis, but the times that we've had to load up these critical patients have been in the more rural areas of Sioux Falls. As Sioux Falls starts to spread out and we start to get more county areas and more of these, what I call interface areas, where the city butts up against the rural areas, that's where these are very valuable. When the helicopters get ready to take off, make sure everything's clear the pilot, everything's good to go, and then they just go light on skids and then they're off. These helicopters can travel at about 160 miles an hour, so that's great for transporting those patients quickly and then nice smooth ride into the hospital. And they're off. I'm with Gary Vandenberg. Now, Gary's the pilot for Trauma 1, and I'm going to ask, Gary, tell us your background. You're from the Midwest. Where'd you learn to fly a helicopter?
Well, I went into the Army in 1972, started in Fort Walters, finished up in Fort Rucker, and actually been flying helicopters ever since, about 34 years.
So you've pretty much flown just about anything the Army can put up in the air?
Up till about 1981, yes.
And then now, how long have you been flying with Trauma 1?
Sioux Valley, I've been with Sioux Valley a little over 5 years.
Now tell me, when we looked at coming into these accident scenes, what are some of the concerns as a pilot that you have as far as, I'm thinking you're not coming into a nice landing area, you could be almost anywhere.
Oh, roger that. This helicopter, when we put the main rotor up way out front and the tail rotor to the back, it's about 50 feet. So our landing area, normally we like to have at least 100 feet. Once we get that set up, once we come in, we're looking for any obstacles that might interfere with our landing, say poles, wires, any structures. Like even here today, we got the fire hydrant with the poles. That's something to keep in mind. If it's kind of a dusty area, we're looking about brownout. Once we get close to the ground, the rotor wash almost consumes the helicopter.
So that brings up all that snow and dust
around the helicopter.
And knocks your vision down to almost nothing.
Visibility goes to zero. We actually want to be within about a foot of the ground or on the ground before the dust or the snow consumes the helicopter.
Now, when you're flying in at night, is it more of a challenge? I mean, firefighting at night is always a little more exciting, but I imagine flying a helicopter into some rural area. What are the challenges at night?
Really, at night it's a lot worse because a lot of the obstacles are hard to see, especially wires. They're very difficult to come in at night. And
how do you pick them out?
Well, hopefully that we're talking to somebody on the ground, either you people or one of our rural fire rescue organizations, and hopefully they've gotten there before us, and we've done training with them that they do a quick recon. They look around the area, walk the area, they look for poles, they look for wires. If it's a grassy field, they'll go and walk that and make sure there's no poles or any holes, rocks that we might have problems with. And they're trained to do that. And hopefully they'll have a light set, where they can mark the...
Get a 100-foot area for you to land in?
And it's pretty well looked at and give us some idea where the wind is. And we're talking to them as soon as we leave the hospital till we complete the landing.
Now, I know firefighters are proudest of their fire trucks. So tell me, I got a couple questions for you on your helicopter. How much does it cost?
This helicopter probably today in these dollars to replace it, it'd be probably $4.5 to $5 million.
Wow. And it has, you were talking earlier, I always thought helicopters have one engine in them.
Oh, a lot of helicopters this day and age, for a safety factor, we have two engines like this one does. We have two engines, each one's about 750 horsepower.
And if one goes down, can you keep the bird up?
Yes, we can. We practice that, doing single engine approaches and landings, and we should be able to complete the mission, yes. Now
for safety issues, and I'm thinking of the military now, I know we tell our firefighters, keep the line of sight for the pilot and stay away from the back. Now, tell us about some of the safety concerns you have to be thinking about when we're working around you.
Well, roger that. What we'd like to see is that once we're running, because most scene flights we stay running, so that means the main rotor and the tail rotor are both turning. And you can see back here when that tail rotor gets straight up and down, it's only off the ground about 2.5 feet. So we train our people that nobody goes back to the wing pods. Always approach the helicopter from the front, and you always do not get underneath inside the tip path plane of the main rotor unless the pilot has seen you or waved you forward.
Now, how low can these tip forward?
Well, in a real gusty wind condition, like it could probbe get down to the top of your head.
So when we think about people carrying IV bags,
That's right.
We have to always be worrying about that.
Yes, in our training we talk about that.
I'm with Paul Mathiason. He's the flight medic on this crew. And the first question I have now, what's the difference between a flight medic and a medic on the street? Is there a difference?
There's not much of a difference. We use a lot of higher advanced protocols. We have to, actually to get this job, show that we know a lot of critical care experience and know a lot of, are higher trained in some of the skills we do compared to just street medicine, as it's called.
Now, when we're looking at flying in, what's about your longer time periods that you have patient care? From when you land, pick up a person, how far out travel time would you be, air time would you be taking care of a patient? Is it longer than the time, the 15 minutes on the street time, or is it?
Yes, we can bring, like, for instance, this helicopter right here, we can bring out to about 150 miles out, where we're taking care of them up to almost 45 minutes to 50 minutes if we need to in the back. Yes.
You're doing a lot of care issues and a lot of interventions with that patient.
Yes, and a lot of times when they call for a helicopter and they ask for a helicopter, the patient is a lot more critical than, say, just a regular ground ambulance that is transporting from out of town into the city. From within the city, though, it's a little different just because they have shorter transport times, so they usually don't use the helicopter that much. But we will provide care for 45, 50 minutes. That's probably the maximum in the helicopter that we provide care for.
Great. Well, thanks, Paul.
Yep.
I'm with Annette Adams, and Annette Adams is a flight nurse. Now, the first question I have for you, Annette, is, now I'm a nurse, but what's the difference between a flight nurse? Do you have concerns as far as the flying with the altitude on patients?
Yes, we do. As far as the helicopter is not as huge of an issue because you don't go as high as you do in the airplane, but there are issues if there's been trauma to the chest where there's a definite possibility where there be a lot of pressure around that. We would insert a chest tube right away when we got into the ground.
So you can put chest tubes right in?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, when we're in, it's pretty tight quarters. Mm-hmm. How many patients can you transport in a helicopter like this?
Typically, we only can get one patient in at a time because we have our crew, but we do take the most critical patient that is there and get them transported first. And
what about pediatrics or infants?
We do transport those as well, yes.
Okay.
Sometimes if it depends on the size of the child, but monitoring and how critical the patient is. If it's a child who needs a lot of care, we would still only take the one because we would need to provide all of our care to that one patient.
So you're set up for the full spectrum of patient care, yes, from infants all the way up to geriatrics.
All the way to, yes.
Now, Annette, you said you could take care of all types of patients. Tell me more about that.
Well, the care that we provide for a patient is that we do maintain an airway, make sure the ABCs of our emergency transport are taken care of. We have oxygen, suction. We have the capability of putting in chest tubes, intubating patients, putting in IVs, anything.
You can do anything in the ER, basically,
yep,
right here, 1,000 feet in the air.
Yep, anything but an X-ray.
That is amazing. Now we're back on the ground, and I'm with Captain Ron Harris. Now, Ron's at the training center. Now, tell me, Ron, how long have you been on the department?
Well, it's been 25 years now.
Wow! And what are your roles out here? What do you do on the department?
Well, when the new people start, they come to us and we actually do the training, teach them how to use every piece of equipment.
So you imprint every new person on the department basically with how to operate and how to be a firefighter.
That's right. They have to come through me, and my staff, and we just kind of make sure that they're going to be safe on the fire ground.
Now, we did the helicopter and the training. How often do you do this, and why is this training with other agencies so important?
Well, we get out there, and you never know.
Mm-hmm.
Safety is the biggest thing. We don't want anybody to get hurt as far as our personnel as well as the other agencies. But really, we want to expedite things. The patient is in trouble. We want to be able to make sure that we can get them to the hospital as quick as they can, and that's our goal. So that's why we want to make sure we know what we're doing, so nobody bumps into each other and nobody has, problems. So we like to do it that
So
way.
everything's nice and smooth.
That's what we like.
You do a great job, Ron, and we really appreciate having you with us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We're with the new Fire Chief Rick Larsen. And Rick, boy, we welcome you as our new chief and have you on fire calls just great. And we got a bunch of questions just for you.
Well, I'm happy to be here, and let's go.
Okay, the first question is from Brandon in Portland, Oregon. and he wants to know, when building new fire stations, how do you plan where to place the new stations? And being that we're at new fire station 10, how do you plan where these go?
We use computer systems that will plot our travel times for our fire trucks, and through that we can tell where our spots in town we need better coverage. So through that we pinpoint locations for new fire stations.
So they're all, we pretty much have it all strategically done, so it's not just guessing anymore like in the olden days and just drawing big circles out. It's all planned out?
Nope, the computer program will drive fire trucks down the streets and turn corners and plot accurate response times.
Okay, well, Brandon, there you go. This one's from Alicia, and Alicia lives in Sioux Falls, and she wants to know, how long does it take you, Sioux Falls Fire Rescue, to get to a fire?
Well, our goal is to get to any fire in the City of Sioux Falls or any other emergency within 5 minutes or less from the time that we're dispatched. We're currently doing that about 85% of the time, and our goal is to get to national standards at 90% of the time. So if we can get to the scene within 5 minutes, that's our goal.
There you go, and that's why we're building new stations out here.
Yes, this here will help us meet the response times for this area of the town. Yes.
And how big is this area of the town that we're covering?
This area of the town, it's west of the Interstate 29. It's a city of about 30,000 people there, and this will be our second station west of the Interstate. So it's a fairly large population base that this station covers.
Yeah, this is a big growing area too. This is a question from Adam. Adam lives in Nashville, Tennessee, and he wants to know, what are the average amounts of calls that we have at Sioux Falls Fire Rescue?
We're currently responding to about 9,000 emergencies a year, so with our stations, it's about 1,000 calls per station, and the average that our trucks respond to calls.
Do you remember, I'm going to throw you back now, you've been on the department for how many years?
31 years.
Do you remember how many calls were when you started? About?
It was probably about 4,000 to 5,000 calls a year.
So we've really
almost doubled.
What do you think it's going to be coming up, keep going up?
It's going to grow with the community. It's going to keep going.
Oh, I think it is too. Now, this is the toughest question, Chief. Justin from, I think it's Hemet, California, wants to know, he wants to be a firefighter, on America's Fire Department, Sioux Falls Fire Rescue, and he's worried that he's only 4'3". What do you think?
Well, we hire our firefighters based on their ability to perform the job. We don't have no height or weight requirements, even age requirements. So anybody that can get through the candidate physical ability test and meet those requirements can be a firefighter for Sioux Falls.
Now, you're chief. What do you think? What are some of the attributes that you're looking at for when you hire someone?
Well, I'm looking for energetic people that are team players. It's important to be a team player because the fire department runs as a team. We need motivated people that can think on their feet because there's not a lot of time to make decisions. So if you got an energetic, quick thinker that's a team player, that's what I'm looking for.
So let's hope Justin meets those qualifications. Well, thanks, Chief Larsen, and we'll hope to see you again in the future.
Okay.
We're with the crew of Rescue 10. We are going to answer some of your questions that you've been sending in. And the first one's from April. April lives in Sioux Falls. And we're going to ask Brooke, better known as Gabby, because he never talks. Do firefighters work at the same station, or do they go from station to station around town? Now, Brooke, tell us your story.
Actually, I am a rover, so that means I do go station to station. I check the computer in the mornings or at night, and depending on if people are on vacation or somebody calls in sick, I go to the station to fill in for them.
Now, do you like being a rover?
I do like to be a rover.
Why do you like it?
Get to move stations, see different territories, hang out with different crews, so keep moving.
Well, good. Well, thanks, Brooke.
Yes.
Okay, this next question, this is a toughie. It's from Justin. Justin lives in Roseville, Michigan. He wants to know, and this is for Brad Vosberg, soon to be a driver maybe, someday?
Someday.
Let's hope. Cross your fingers. What determines where firefighters sit on the trucks?
Well, the driver obviously sits in the driver's seat and then runs the pump panel on a call. The captain will sit in the front seat on the other side.
Where do you sit?
The two firefighters will sit usually facing backwards behind the driver and the captain.
Now, what determines what you do? Do you have a specific role on which side of the truck you're on?
Each firefighter usually has a specific role determined usually at the beginning of the shift day. One will be a firefighter and the other will be the medic. The medic will carry the defibrillator and do initial patient assessment, whereas the firefighter will be responsible to pull the hydrant if in a fire situation or to bring in the equipment in a medical situation.
What are you today?
Today I'm the firefighter.
Where would you rather be?
Oh, that would definitely be where I'd rather be.
Thanks, Brad. Okay, this is Brian Christiansen. Now, Brian, kind of a neat little side note. Brian's gone to college. He's a registered nurse, so that's a great thing, and we're going to see how Brian progresses in his career. Now, you are today the...
I am the acting driver today.
Say that proudly, don't you?
Yep.
Okay, now what's this question is from Tyler. Tyler lives in Sioux Falls. Tyler wants to know, what's a driver do once they get to a call?
Well, it depends on the nature of the call. Medical calls, we respond to lots of medical emergencies. Driver will assist the 2 firefighters and the captain, if need be, on EMS. It's fire, of course, the driver will get you to the scene and then operate the pump panel, establish water supply, and run the pump from outside.
What do you think of driving so far, being that you're kind of filling in for the driver's role?
I like it. It's a totally different responsibility and duties, but it's enjoyable.
What about all the construction? Has that been a problem for you?
That's hard to keep up with, yeah. Drivers have to stay on top of the construction. Also, we rely pretty heavily on the captains that have been out at station for a while. So.
Well, thanks, Brian. And last we have, this question is a 2-part question. We're going to finish up on Tyler's question. And this is Captain Mike Speck. Now, Mike, how long have you been on the department?
A little over 25 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yep.
You've been probably on the job longer than some of these guys have been walking around.
Oh, definitely.
Especially, Gabby, how old are you? 28. Well, you're getting close.
Well, I did this in the military, so I got 29 years of professional firefighting.
Well, so what's a captain do now? We get to the call. What are your responsibilities from when you either get the call? What do you do every day first?
Captain's responsible for the overall operation of the station. Everything from the operation of the truck, making sure it's ready to go, making sure the station is maintained and ready to go, ensuring that the firefighters' drivers are getting their training.
So you pretty much have to run shotgun over everybody.
We're like the head nanny here running the station.
Now, when you get a call, what's your responsibility? Now, you ride shotgun on the front seat.
Right. Overall responsible for the entire crew actions, from placement of the apparatus to tactics and strategy of the crew, and taking initial command of the incidents, and as they progress, then taking either divisions or taking groups and ensuring that the job is done properly.
Okay, here's the next part of the question. This one's from Clifton. Clifton lives in, oh boy, Havre de Grace, Maryland. And he wants to know how many firefighters ride on your truck?
Normally a crew of 4.
Okay.
Every once in a while we'll have a extra person on there due to vacations, or with like when we had the recruits, we'll have a 5th person on there. Sometimes due to training, we're down to 3 people, but normally it's a crew of 4.
And 4 allows us to do all our medical, run a full arrest, and then run a fire with
getting 3 trucks there. That gives us enough to safely start interior operations, interior attack,
and have our RIT teams and backup crews in place.
Correct.
Well, there you go. So those are some of your questions with the crew from Rescue 10. Now, we've also said in the past, if you're from a fire department and want your fire department shouted out, just give us a holler and we're going to do it. This goes to Mike from Lincoln Fire Rescue. Here's your shout out. We hope Lincoln Fire Rescue in Lincoln, Nebraska is having a good time watching our show. We also want to thank the crew of Trauma One. They worked great with our department. It's great to work up those little safety issues on scene before we have the real accident. Plus, I had a great time flying around their helicopter. We also want to thank Rescue 10, that news station out there, and the crew's taking the time to let us work with them and learn about their station. And Fire Chief Rick Larsen, the newest fire chief on Sioux Falls Fire Rescue, thanks for taking the time and telling us what you're looking for in a firefighter. And then last, if you want to get your t-shirt, we're always looking for great questions from our viewers. So if you want a t-shirt, you just send your questions to our website, www.siouxfalls.org/fire, and if we use your question, you get a t-shirt. Hey, I've had a great time on this show, and my name's Division Chief Jim Sideras, and you've been watching Fire Call.